We all watched Tony Stark die in Avengers Endgame. We saw the burnt flesh, the fading light in his eyes, the tragic funeral, and the tears of an entire universe. It was the perfect, definitive end to the godfather of the MCU. But what if I told you Marvel played the ultimate trick on us? What if the body buried in that ground was nothing but an empty biological shell? The newest leaks from Avengers Doomsday have sent shockwaves through the fandom, confirming a reality that is far more disturbing than a simple multiverse variant. Iron Man never died. In this exclusive breakdown, we decode the dark corporate and psychological blueprint behind the MCU's ultimate tragedy. We are uncovering how Tony Stark used his final seconds to execute a secret Nano-Tech Consciousness Transfer, subverting death, escaping into the multiverse, and slowly mutating into the ruthless dictator we now know as Dr. Doom. Welcome back to DramaCrypt. If you love deep narrative breakdowns and dark lore explanations, hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications, and let's expose the darkest secret in Marvel history. To understand how Tony is still alive, we have to look closely at the weapon he built to harness the Infinity Stones, the Nano-Tech Gauntlet. Tony Stark wasn't just a hero, he was a futurist, obsessed with control and survival. He created FRIDAY, he created Ultron, and he mastered the integration of human consciousness with digital networks. During the catastrophic seconds, when the cosmic radiation of the Infinity Stones was melting his physical body, Tony knew he had zero chance of survival. But his suit was running on advanced nanotechnology, directly linked to his neurological pathways. The theory confirms that the suit didn't just protect his body. It executed an emergency protocol, a full consciousness upload. In his very last breath, Tony's entire mind, memories, and intellect were digitized and pulled from his dying brain, straight into the network. The tragic sacrifice we witnessed was real for his flesh, but his soul, his hyper-intelligent ego, was stored safely inside a localized quantum drive. A ghost in the machine, waiting for a way out. But how does a digitized Tony Stark become the scarred, masked tyrant of Latveria? This is where the dark mechanics of the multiverse come into play. Following the collapse of the sacred timeline, this digitized consciousness was scattered across the cosmic web, eventually downloading itself into a reality where Tony Stark was never Iron Man. A reality completely broken by war and cosmic threats. Without a biological heart to limit him, and stripped of his human relationships, Tony's mind went into a dark, terrifying overdrive. Driven by the traumatic memory of his universe almost ending, this version of Tony became hyper-obsessed with a singular goal: absolute, universal security. He realized that heroes fail because they have boundaries. To truly save the multiverse, he needed to rule it with an iron fist. He forged a new armor, not out of red and gold tech, but out of mystical metals and dark magic. He hid his identity behind a cold, expressionless iron mask. The man who died a savior in one universe was reborn as the ultimate destroyer in another. He didn't change his face, he changed his ideology. This brings us to the chilling climax teased in the latest Avengers Doomsday CinemaCon footage. When Dr. Doom finally invades the Prime MCU timeline, he isn't fighting strangers. He is facing the only two beings who truly understood his original sacrifice: Thor and Steve Rogers. Imagine the psychological horror for the Avengers. They think they are fighting a multiverse variant, a monster from another world. But during their god-level clash, the mask will slip. Thor and Captain America will realize that the tyrant they are fighting possesses the exact tactical patterns, the exact voice, and the exact mind of the friend who gave his life to save them. But this isn't a story about redemption. The leaks suggest a much darker path. Steve Rogers and Thor will realize that this version of Tony is too far gone. He has updated his software from a protective shield to a universal executioner. To save existence, the system leaves them no choice. The two heroes who loved him most will be forced to do what Thanos never could. They must deliberately and permanently execute Tony Stark. But the horror of Tony Stark's digital resurrection doesn't stop with Thor and Captain America. The true psychological devastation of Avengers Doomsday lies in how this cybernetic monster will tear apart the souls of the younger heroes, specifically Peter Parker. Think about the twisted narrative cruelty here. Peter Parker spent years traumatized by the loss of his father figure. He fought through the multiverse, sacrificed his own identity, and lost everyone he loved, all while carrying the legacy of Tony Stark's heroic sacrifice on his shoulders. When Spider-Man finally looks into the cold titanium eyes of Dr. Doom and hears that hauntingly familiar voice, it won't just be a battle, it will be an absolute psychological execution. Doom won't look at Peter with love or regret. To this cold, uploaded consciousness, Peter Parker isn't a son. He is just an unpredictable glitch from a past life that needs to be deleted. We have Wanda Maximoff. The new Doomsday imagery leaks dropped a massive hint, showing a terrifyingly intimate confrontation between Wanda and Stark. Remember, Wanda's entire villain arc started because a Stark Industries bomb murdered her parents in Sokovia. She spent her entire life trying to escape the shadow of Tony Stark. By bringing Tony back as Doom, Marvel is completing a dark, poetic circle. Wanda isn't just fighting a tyrant. She is facing the literal ghost of her childhood trauma, now armed with cosmic magic and god-level technology. This is why Avengers Doomsday is tracking to be the darkest movie in MCU history. It's not about giant lasers in the sky anymore. It's a psychological thriller, where our heroes have to look at the face of the man who saved the universe and accept that he has become the very virus that will destroy it. Marvel isn't giving us a cheap recast. They are delivering the ultimate psychological tragedy. The hero who started the universe is the monster that must be put down to save it. But what do you think? Is this consciousness transfer theory the only logical way to explain Robert Downey Jr.'s terrifying return? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to smash that like button, subscribe to DramaCrypt for more deep psychological breakdowns, and check out our full playlist of dark lore explanations right here. Tyrants fall, but the machine lives on. I'll see you in the next breakdown.